is the magnet.
Hello, you're welcome to this week's edition of the Magnet. Today we shall be talking about museums and monuments. When last did you visit the museum? Not as a child, but even as an adult. Yes, we have somebody who should know. In fact, the number one citizen of museums and monuments in the country. Well grounded, gradually changing the narrative in that sector. It's a university done, and he has traversed different aspects of that sector in Nigeria and even abroad. Let's give you his citation to know him better. When we come back, he's very well on ground to receive us in an interactive session. We'll be back shortly.
Born on 5th February 1963 in Abadan Local Government, Borno State, Professor Abba Tijani is the 7th Director General, CEO of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, Nigeria. Professor Abba Tijani spearheaded the drive for the repatriation of many Benin bronzes that were looted in 1897 to Nigeria after many failed attempts since after our independence. Professor Tijani is a member of ECOWAS Repatriation Committee that is saddled with the responsibility to champion repatriation of stolen artifacts of the region. Within the 2 years of his assumption, Professor Tijani rehabilitated and upgraded the galleries and exhibitions of 18 national museums across the country that their exhibitions had never been changed or upgraded for over 20 years to international standard. The Commission has been able to renovate a number of our national monuments as well as the 2 World Heritage Sites in Nigeria. Professor Tijani was able to direct and supervise the nomination and assessment of 113 new proposed national monuments awaiting presidential assent. Under the leadership of the Commission, Professor Tijani negotiated for the signing of a Cultural Property Implementation Agreement (CPIA) with the United States in November 2022, when Nigeria became the 2nd African country to sign such agreements. Until his appointment, Professor Tijani was the director of the Center for the Study and Promotion of Cultural Sustainability, University of Maiduguri. While at the center, Professor Tijani was the Executive Board of Director and head, Nigeria, of DAAD-funded project SDG Graduate School, Performing Sustainability, Cultures and Development in West Africa. The project, which is ongoing, is a collaboration between the Universities of Ildershim, Germany, Cape Coast, Ghana, and the University of Maiduguri. Professor Tijani served as the head of the Department of Creative Arts as well as that of Fine Arts of the University of Maiduguri. He was promoted to Professor of Anthropology and Museology in October 2017. Professor Tijani has participated in numerous research works, attended many conferences, workshops, and seminars across the world, and has received awards both in Nigeria and abroad, including that of the Foreign and Commonwealth Scholarship and the Wynne Foundation for the MA and PhD studies at the University College, London, among others. Professor Abba Tijani's academic efforts have produced dozens of world-acclaimed publications, journals, and series covering the fields of museology and anthropology. He enjoys membership of professional associations like Museums Association of Nigeria, Museums Association UK, the Royal African Society UK, and Brunei Museum Society, among others. Professor Tijani is a member of the Nigerian Academy of Letters, MNAL. Professor Tijani is happily married with children.
Is the magnet.
This recording is the last major interview of Professor Abba Tijani as the Director General of National Commission for Museums and Monuments before the appointment of a new DG.
This is the Magnet. You're welcome back to the program. It's a great pleasure to be in the office of the Director General of National Commission for Museums and Monuments, Professor Abba Tijani. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You know, tell us, what's the function of museums and monuments in the country?
Thank you very much. The National Commission for Museums and Monuments is an agency under the new Ministry of Arts, Culture and the Creative Economy. The Commission is saddled with the responsibility of establishing national museums across the country to showcase our national, heritage, cultural artifacts that identify about our culture and our history. And these are what we keep in our national museums and present to our audience. The Commission is also saddled with the responsibility of, approving the establishment of private museums, state museums, corporate museums, institutional museums, and the rest. And also we have the responsibility of supervising these museums to see that they will operate within the framework they are approved. And also we are saddled with responsibility of identifying our archaeological sites, doing archaeological excavations, and also approving any archaeological excavation that is going to be carried out in the country, either by people coming from outside the country or those that are within Nigeria. We also then store these findings in our museums. The Commission is also saddled with the responsibility of identifying our heritage sites and structures
Historical.
that are associated with our culture, with our history, and other things that will link us to, and we identify them and then we declare them as national monuments after going through rigorous processes.
Okay, I'll take that one after the other. Now, earlier you talked about archaeological. What qualifies a site or an object to be an archaeological object?
Well, first of all, as you know, human development over the years and evolution, where there are a lot of generations that have passed and of course culminating to the present generations. And there are a lot of activities and cultural associations that has taken place, and that and today we will say they are buried in the ground. So for us now to know about our past, about the traditions that has transpired before, we now look at different sites and communities that have lived for many years to see and then do excavations that will now tell us about the past in that area. But we also sometimes come across these sites, archaeological sites, yes, either accidentally due to construction or mining and so on. So we can also, even in the case of, for example, Dufuna Kenu in Yobe State, which is the oldest in Africa, it's over 8,000 years, was accidentally found by somebody that was digging a well to get water, and then stumble on it and then draw attention. So these are the kind of ways in which we now come across this.
Okay, that has brought me to another issue. That means your research and development department must be top-notch to be able to identify some of these things. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We have a department which today we have split the department into two. We have what we call the Archaeology and Ethnography department. That the department is saddled with this responsibility of identifying
Searching
our
and identifying
archaeological sites, archaeological excavations, and also ethnographic. The ethnographic ones are the ones that are still in the communities that are being used and which we see them as have a historical importance. But also we have the research department where all this work can also be
collated,
collated and documented. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Earlier you talked about monuments. That means before now, I don't even know that monument is part of your commission. But what qualifies a site or anything at all to be monuments under your commission?
Well, we say that a place will be qualified to become a monument if the communities, the stakeholders identify, or Nigeria as a country identify with that site or with that building as having historical importance. Okay. Some kind of linkages into the cultural heritage of the people. It can be a building, it can be a site for certain important functions that has taken place. It could be a battle site, and so on. So, and of course, there are colonial structures also that have historical importance, are also declared national monuments as well. And so we have to engage the communities because we want to carry them along and at the community level, at the local government level, state level, and the national level to see that there is no any opposition, in the process of declaring this.
And there will be several of such, because sincerely, when we are aware of some of these things, they even become tourist attraction. Don't you think so?
Well, they are, because some people come particularly to go and visit these sites or these structures. And we have at the moment 65 declared national monuments in Nigeria.
Wow.
And we have already processed 113 additional national monuments to be declared, which is awaiting the presidential approval. So you can see now, Nigeria is still not enough for Nigeria, because we have so many historical, events and sites that has taken place.
Because I know for some of us in Lagos, the one that is really quite historical, that's even some of our children still go for excursion, is the first story building located in Badagry.
Yes.
You understand? That's one of the monuments you talk about, right?
Yes.
Okay, earlier you talked briefly about culture, and it's something that is also associated with your commission, right?
Yes.
Don't you think to a large extent or somehow our culture is gradually going into extinction with some form of imperialistic tendencies of our children and youth? Do you believe that?
Well, first of all, we need to know and understand, because I'm also a museologist and an anthropologist.
Okay.
So we need to understand that there is no culture that is static. So
it's dynamic.
It's dynamic. It keeps evolving. So you cannot stop, culture and say that, you see, this is where the line we draw, and therefore the culture cannot, interact with modernization, and also with new developments. The beauty of culture is that it, permeates into whatever that comes across it, and it becomes part of that,
existence.
The existence, and also the changes that goes on. So what the important is, we make sure that as communities, and as leaders in our communities, we make sure that we'll filter what is coming in, so that it will not pollute the existing culture. Yes, exactly. So that's the kind of thing that is happening in Nigeria. I think we have many communities that are resistant to some of these, what we call the taboos and so on that, may affect it. But still, our cultures are vibrant. If you go to different communities, you see that their way of dressing is still, associated with that community. Their architectural, design is still the same thing. Yes, exactly. And even their farming, cooking, and all this.
But the interesting aspect of it is that we, Nigerians, don't even appreciate our culture enough. It is the foreigners, when they come, particularly our artifacts, our prints, our costumes. I don't know if you know one mama called Mama Nike Gallery.
Yes.
As not unlettered as she is, she's a tutor, a lecturer. You are a university, don't you know?
Yes.
At Harvard Business School.
Yes.
They have been able to appreciate her prowess. They've been able to acquire her because of her prowess in our culture. What do you think we should do to further, we now, your commission, to further enhance and propagate the acceptance and propagation of our culture in all ramifications?
Yeah, first of all, we need to understand that we are in our communities. We are part of the culture. And therefore, sometimes we don't notice it, that we are doing things that we promote our culture. We do things that we appreciate our culture. But the other thing is that in museums, for example, how do our people visit museums? The people in the community, they feel that what they are going to see is something that they see, in their daily practices. So it's not something new. And I think that is why we have been making mistakes in the museums. Before I came, exhibitions have been there for over 20 to 30 years. And it's not good, because you have to keep changing the exhibitions to, present the narratives.
Present reality.
And what is happening. And of course, all our museums exhibitions are thematic. Therefore, you have to know what is relevant within that, time, so that you'll be able to now tell the story and then attract people, to come to your museums. But the problem we've been having is lack of funding, because museum is a capital intensive, project. And therefore, for you to do even an exhibition, you have to go into so many aspects to research, and also digitize these objects, and also, create the gallery, design the gallery, and so on. So it's a long process, but I think we are doing our best. Since I came in, I've been able to upgrade the exhibitions in about 18 museums.
What are you doing to make it attractive so that people can say, oh, it's a holiday, let me take my children, let me take my family to the museum and relax? What should attract them at the museum that you think you'll be put in the pipeline now?
I must say that for us to attract visitors, and especially the young generations and families, we have to make the museum environment conducive and attractive.
What will make that happen?
Well, yes, because in the past, museum architecture itself is something new. If you see our museums across the country, they are not designed in a way that they should look like a museum. So the iconic structure itself attracts, individuals. Now, that is one. And secondly, the museum environment, which, you expect.
The ambience.
Absolutely, the ambience. When families come, they spend a day in museum. If you go to abroad, that's the same thing. So if you are going to spend a day in the museum, you have to see that there are things that are provided to make you feel, comfortable and relaxed. It's not only the exhibition, the galleries that you go around to see. What are the other side attractions?
Relaxation, recreation.
Recreation, because when you go with children, you expect
sitting
play areas.
arrangements.
When you go to museum, you expect
lawns.
to eat and drink. The museum kitchen, and the cafes. And also, you want to see that if you go to the galleries, you are not only seeing objects. You're going to be bored, of course. You see objects just lined up like that. That's why I always tell, the museums abroad that the way they are exhibiting our objects there are not the way, it should be. Because when you exhibit your objects, you have to make it as part of what it used to be, so that you make the object as part of the story, so that when people see, they will be able to associate that object to the environment, to the people. So it has to be some way interactive, so that it will be engaging. And also, as young people, when they come, they want to be seeing, things that they
Action.
can interact with. They play. So you have to provide some interaction, interactive activities, digital,
some cultural, digital film,
yes,
for them to engage there.
Absolutely. So that's why. So we are now working with so many other, museums, like as part of our repatriation process. Anytime we go to sign any agreement, we now say, what can these museums do
for us
that will make our museums better?
Interesting.
And one of the things we are doing with the Metropolitan Museum in New York is digitization of our collections. So we're going to have a new software that will run this digital. Yes,
you are going technological.
Yes, absolutely.
You are going digital.
So that we can reach you at the comfort of your bedroom. You can open our apps and then you can interact with objects and know more about our
Professor
history.
Abba Tijani, the DG of National Commission for Museums and Monuments. Let's go for a short break. We're back to continue this very interactive conversation. The program is still The Magnet, and we still have with us Professor Abba Tijani, the DG of National Commissions for Museums and Monuments. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm looking at a prototype in front of me here, right here in your office. The gigantic one. What is that about, sir?
Well, that's the prototype for the model of our National Museum here in Abuja. When I took over as the Director General of the Commission in 2020, I was really surprised that we don't have a national museum in Abuja. Yes. So we now started working at the Commission to see that we have a national museum, because this is the center of our foreign visitors and our diplomats and so on. So therefore, we have to have something that will enable them and their families to visit our museum, so that they will see and understand about our culture. So we have designed this, we have done everything, and we have started the process, and the government has directed that funds should be provided for the construction of this museum.
Don't you think you should also take on exhibition, you know, a big functions, exhibiting some of our archaeological and artifacts, even the repatriated ones we are still going to talk about, so that can attract people to visit and make you have impressions?
Yeah, we are planning to have an exhibition of the repatriated objects, so that Nigerians will be able to see, and appreciate that we are repatriating our stolen artifacts, and they will be able to physically see these objects that they are, coming back to Nigeria. So we want to do that, and we want to do that in Benin City.
Is there no way you can really, really collaborate?
We are partnering with the private museums, but also, for example, the CBN Currency Museum. The CBN has a currency museum within the building. That museum is also the conservation and aspect of it is carried out by us.
Okay.
So we are collaborating, in terms
so
of the private.
Quite a lot.
Yes.
Just that we don't get to know of it because of activation and publicities underplayed.
Absolutely.
Because of funding.
Yes.
We'll get there, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, final words.
Well, I want to urge our audience, particularly Nigerians, to understand that our culture, our artifacts are important aspects of our history, of our identity. We must respect them, we must cherish them. And how do we do that? By regularly visiting museums to see these artifacts and understand them, understand our own culture, so that we can also understand the cultures of others as well. And that will promote unity and peaceful coexistence. But also, we are looking forward to also engaging some of these looted artifacts that are repatriated to Nigeria to go around the world on travel exhibitions that will generate hard currency to Nigeria in revenue.
That is what interests me. I mean, any foreign exchange, using our product to earn foreign exchange, so that the issue of no money will at least, be at bay.
Yes.
Professor Abba Tijani, the DG, National Commission for Museums and Monuments. Thank you very much for being on the Magnet.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure being with you.
So that's how we have it today. The Magnet, the program has been try to make it a culture to visit the museum henceforth. Sort out all the monumental objects and buildings. Watch out for all the archaeological objects. Find out what are these artifacts or objects that have been repatriated, so that you can at least say kudos to the commission.
This recording is the last major interview of Professor Abba Tijani as the Director General of National Commission for Museums and Monuments before the appointment of a new DG.
Join us same time next week when we shall feature another Magnet on the program. But remember to follow us on our various social media handles. And you can also watch this program again on our YouTube channel. Until then, bye for now.